In the meantime, let's change tracks and touch base with the management of Marico. The case for a chat here really being a revival in consumption demand. Copra prices have fallen after a sharp spike, and rural growth seems to be outpacing urban demand. That's been a big talking point actually for a while now, how rural demand is likely to be the big kicker for a lot of the consumption plays. And so we have Saugata Gupta, MD and CEO of Marico, joining us for just that. Saugata, it's great to have you on the show. We saw FMCG companies post great growth numbers on volumes and revenues. The question is this attributable to the low base and the restocking, or is there actual underlying demand that's coming back?
It's a mix of two. If you really look at it, all the companies had a very low base because of the demand quarter, which was the preceding Q3. Having said that, I think we are seeing some green shoots in rural, and we hope that the next year will be a better year for the industry, especially some of the initiatives the government has taken in the rural sector, which will lead to better incomes and therefore better demand.
Like in Q2 and Q3, also saw rural sales outperform urban sales with 26% sales growth. What do you think has aided the strong bounce back in rural demand, and is it sustainable?
So I would think some will be low base. Also, I think we have gained a little share, as you know, because of the fact that in a certain inflationary conditions we do gain market share. So it's a mixture of that. Having said that, I think for the first time in the last 2 quarters, we have, after I think a hiatus of at least 8 to 10 quarters, we have had a situation of rural growth being higher than urban growth, and we expect that trend to happen next year. Although I must say in terms of it will be gradual. I don't see it happening, it's kind of a drastic increase happening.
Okay. With rural recovery still in early days though, do you believe rural growth is very vulnerable to factors like monsoon, government initiatives, and how much of a havoc would you say unfavorable monsoon can play on rural sales?
I think monsoon is one of the factors, but having said that, I think if some of the schemes that's been announced by the government are executed well, I would think consumption will increase. And if you look at the trends, there has been a couple of years where monsoon has not been good, but it again depends on a mix of factors, and I would think trend wise next year will be better than the previous year.
Okay, so in the categories that you're present in, is there a significant presence of the unorganized sector, and have you seen any shift as much in favor of organized companies like yourself?
So I think if you really look at it, I'm going to give you a long-term view. I think if there is significant compliance, obviously organized players will get a better level playing field, and also companies with far better direct distribution in a post-GST era, and the fact that better scale will be able to get better other efficiencies and therefore will be in an advantageous position. Now, how much has happened initially? Some could have happened also as a function of the immediate, they were in the post GST scenario where the things settling down, especially in wholesale and all. But I would think over the medium to long term, it's a certainly competitive advantage for an organized player because they will get a level playing field.
Right, your volume growth at 9% was a tad bit lower compared to your immediate peers like Dabur, Godrej, which delivered 13 to 18% volume growth respectively. Your thoughts, your comments on that?
I think two things. One is if you look at our base of last year, our volume decline was only -4. It was actually, there could have been certain peer companies with a higher decline. But more than that, I think our biggest issue was our Saffola couldn't grow in that quarter, and we have had certain short-term problems in Saffola. We believe that Saffola should be back on growth next year. So I think that has been one of the significant contributor to the fact that we couldn't get into a double-digit volume growth given the low base.
We understand copra prices have fallen significantly in the last few weeks. Is that true? Have you seen cost pressures abate?
See, there has been a slight fall, but as I said that you have to look at from a year-on-year basis. So this pressure on input costs will continue to in the first half of the year. Having said that, perhaps the worst is over and the second half of the year will be definitely better.
Okay. So do you think this downtake in copra prices is temporary, because we understand that supply pressures still exist?
So I think the new season comes in April, and as I said that we believe that the worst is over and the peak has happened. Now we will get a much better call of how it performs at, in terms of whether there is a lowering that happens sometimes in the second half of the year. So I would say that from a year on year basis, if you look at the cost pressure, that will continue to be high in the first half. In the second half, I think because of the base of the peak will be, the base factor will already be at the peak. So I think things will be better. Now I think in terms of there will be a slight drop. Now how much is the drop? I think we'll need to watch out, and we will get a better picture sometime in May and June.
Okay. So if copra prices have indeed topped, will you revisit parachute prices, given that you had undertaken a price hike in the past?
As of now, no, but we'll take a call. That's why I said that I think the season for the season comes, the crop season is around April, May. So you will get a much better, we'll get a much better view of the what will be the current pricing, say next year, sometime in May, and we'll then take a call. But as of now, we don't intend to take it, because at the end of the day, our effort will be to maximize volume growth and market share, and we are okay to take some short-term pains.
Fair enough. How is the VAHO portfolio doing? It has about 34% market share, I'm told. Have you been able to expand that? What's the distribution plan here?
So we have been continuously gaining market share quarter after quarter. I think the only change which we have been tracking is that we have to now drive both bottom of pyramid and premiumization. So while we have been gaining value share, our value share growth has been lower than the volume share growth in the last 4-5 years. Our value share growth is around, value share is currently around 25.5%, and therefore over the next 2 to 3 years we will focus on driving both value share growth and volume share growth.
How much of a worry would competition be for you when it comes to hair oils, especially now when you're penetrating the north and east market big time? And where is the focus? Volume sustenance or profitability?
See, for us as an organization, our philosophy is always to maximize volume growth and market share subject to a threshold level of margins. And as long as we don't go below our threshold level of operating margin overall for the group, we are going to concentrate on driving both volume and market share, and defend market shares in case there is a, especially at the places where we have now gained significant market share in the last couple of years.
Okay, great speaking with you, Mr. Gupta. Thanks so much for taking the time out and chatting with us and really telling us whether or not this FMCG recovery is for real and what segments of the economy are really seeing that kind of recovery.